Hello friends, welcome to the lecture number 7 of Microprocessor and Peripherals Interfacing. This lecture will be based on the function of the minimum and maximum mode signals of 8086 IC. In the previous lecture, we have seen that 8086 is a 40-pin IC, out of which the 32 pins have a common function in both minimum and maximum mode, whereas there are 8 pins which will be having the specific functions in minimum and maximum mode. So let us have a look on this specific function signals. Let us start with the minimum mode signals. So the minimum mode signal which we can see over here, M/IO bar, pin number 28, it indicates the status of operation. M stands for memory and IO stands for input output ports. The operation which is happening, the transfer which is happening between the processor, and whether it is between the processor and memory or the processor and IO is indicated by the value on this signal. If it is 1, that means the address bus is carrying the address of a memory location. If it is carrying 0, that means the values on the address bus contains the address of IO port. Hence, it is decided by the value on this particular pin number 28. Next is INTA bar. This INTA bar is nothing but an acknowledge to an interrupt request which we have seen in the previous lecture. Interrupt request is a request signal coming from the peripheral to the processor. So if the processor accepts the interrupt request by checking the status of interrupt enable flag, it acknowledges to that particular peripheral using this INTA bar. So the direction of INTA bar signal is from the processor to the peripheral, and it is an active low signal. The value 0 on the pin indicates that the interrupt is accepted. This interrupt acknowledge signal is given in response to the INTR input signal, and on the response of this INTA bar, the interrupt vector number is received from the peripheral on the processor. Then next is ALE. The ALE stands for address latch enable. Now we have seen that the address and data values are multiplexed on the same pin. So for the T1 state, the address is present on that pins, and from the next clock states, the data will be present. So for the time, that is the T1 state, when address is available on the pins, the address latch enable value is high, indicating that address is present. This address latch enable is connected to the latch enable input of the latches in which the address is going to be stored. Simply, we have to remember that whenever the address latch enable is high, the address is present on the buses or the pins. Whenever the address latch enable goes 0, the values present on the pins is data and not the address. Next is DT/R bar. The DT stands for data transmission, whereas this R stands for data receive. So if this pin have the value 1, that means the data is being transmitted. Transmitted means from the processor to the outside, that is to the memory or to the IO. 0 on this pin indicates a data receive. That means the data is coming to the processor from the memory or from the IO port. So this output signal is used to decide the direction of data flow through the bidirectional buffers. Okay. Then next pin is DEN bar. This DEN stands for data enable, and it is the active low signal. If there is 0 given to this pin, then only the data is enabled. That means the data will be, the data bus is carrying the valid data. The data bus enabled signal indicates the availability of the data over the address or data lines. If this data enable pin is having value 1, that means the data is not present on the lines and address is present. Then next pin is WR bar. The WR stands for write and bar indicates it is an active low signal. If the value on this pin is low, that means the processor is performing the write operation. If it has the value 1, that means it is not performing write operation. Write operation means the data bus is transmitting the data outside from the processor to either memory or to the IO devices. Then hold signal. This hold and HLDA, they are basically related to the direct memory access. See, what is the general procedure is whenever some peripheral requires a data which is stored in the memory, it will have to first approach the processor, take its help, then get the data from the memory, and then the processor will take from the memory and then it will transfer back to the peripheral like that. That means in this data transfer operation, the processor is unnecessarily kept busy just for the use of that buses. Whereas if this memory is directly accessible to the peripheral with the help of buses, they can do the data transfer. Whereas in the meantime, the processor can perform its execution. The time can be saved. That is called as the direct memory access. So if any peripheral requires the direct memory access without the help or engaging the processor, it gives the request on this hold pin. The hold input requests a direct memory access. If the hold signal is at logic 1, the microprocessor stops its execution and gives the control of all its buses to that external peripheral, and it does not perform any data transfer, but it simply performs its execution operation, which does not require the buses. HLDA is a hold acknowledgement signal which indicates that 8086 has entered into the hold state. It cannot perform any data transfer as it has given the all the controls of its buses to some other peripheral for direct memory access. Then coming to the maximum mode signals. The maximum mode signal, the first 3 pins are S0 bar, S1 bar and S2 bar. These are status lines and these 3 lines are active low. They simply reflect the type of operation which is being carried out by the processor. These are the various operations which are indicated: the interrupt acknowledge operation, the read IO port operation, write IO port operation. All these operations are indicated by the combinations of S0 bar, S1 bar and S2 bar. For example, if it has 100, that means the processor is fetching the code from the code segment. If it has 101, that means the processor is reading some data from a particular memory location. If it has 110, that means the processor is writing some data to a particular memory location. And if it is having 010, it is writing, that means giving the data out at a particular IO port. Like that, each combination is having a particular type of operation associated with it, which is indicated with the help of these status lines. Next is lock bar. The lock output is used to lock the peripherals of the system. That means whenever this signal is having 0, the buses of the processor are locked, and now no other peripheral can request for the hold input request, which comes to gain the control of the system buses. That will not be allowed if it has 0 on this lock bar. The lock output is used to lock the peripherals of the system. Next is QS1 and QS0. These 2 bits simply gives the status of the operation which your queue is performing. Queue, as we have seen in the architecture, the instruction queue, which is 6 byte long. What is happening in this instruction queue? Whether the content which is present in that instruction queue is the first byte of an opcode, or it is the second or third byte of the opcode, or whether your queue is idle and it is performing no operation, or whether there is nothing present in that queue. So all these types of operations or the functions are indicated by this value. If it has 0, 0, that means it is performing no operation, the queue is idle. If it has 0, 1, that means the first byte of opcode is present within that queue. 1, 0, that means the queue is empty and it has nothing to execute further. If it has 1, 1, that means the bytes which are present within the instruction queue are subsequent bytes of an opcode. RQ and GT stands for the request and grant. These are the bidirectional signals, and they are basically very much similar to hold and HLDA, which we have seen in the minimum mode. If the other local bus master wants the processor to give the access of the buses to the other processor, as we have seen that these are the functions of the maximum mode, wherein there will be more than one processor. So if the other local bus master wants to force the processor to release the local bus, then it will give the input on the request pin, and if that request is accepted, the acknowledgement is given back on the same pin, and it will be called as the grant signal. So this RQ, GT are bidirectional signals, and they both have the same function. The only difference is that RQ, GT 0 is having higher priority than RQ, GT 1. That means if the request comes on 0 pin also and 1 pin also, the control of the buses will be first given to the request coming on 0 pin, as it is having the higher priority. So whenever this request input comes, the processor releases the local bus control at the end of its current bus cycle. This was the functions of minimum and maximum mode signals. Thank you. See you in the next lecture.